এখন আমাদের টপিক হলো হোয়াট ইজ ডেভেলপমেন্টাল সাইকোলজি, অর্থাৎ ডেভেলপমেন্টাল সাইকোলজি কি সেটা নিয়েই আমরা সংক্ষিপ্ত আকারে আলোচনা করব। তবে সাইকোলজির নাম শুনেছি আমরা, সাইকিয়াট্রির নাম শুনেছি। এখন আমরা দেখব যে ডেভেলপমেন্ট সাইকোলজি কি সেটা নিয়ে সংক্ষিপ্ত আলোচনা করব। তো ডেভেলপমেন্ট সাইকোলজি ইজ আ সাইন্টিফিক অ্যাপ্রোচ দ্যাট এইমস টু এক্সপ্লেইন গ্রোথ, চেঞ্জ and consistency throughout the lifespan. Developmental psychology examines how thinking, feeling, and behavior change throughout a person's life. অর্থাৎ ডেভেলপমেন্টাল সাইকোলজি একটা প্রক্রিয়া যেটা মানুষের বৃদ্ধি, পরিবর্তন এবং সারা জীবন ধরে তার যে সঙ্গতি সেটা নিয়ে একটা বৈজ্ঞানিক আলোচনা। একটা মানুষের জীবনে কিভাবে চিন্তা, অনুভূতি এবং ব্যবহারের পরিবর্তন হয় সেটা নিয়েও ডেভেলপমেন্ট সাইকোলজি কাজ করে। A significant proportion of theories within this discipline focus on development during childhood, as this is the period during an individual's lifespan when the most change occurs. Developmental psychologists study a wide range of theoretical areas such as biological, social, emotional, and cognitive processes. Empirical research in this area tends to be dominated by psychologists from Western cultures such as North American and Europe. Although during the 1980s, Japanese researchers began making a valid contribution to the field. Key terms that we have to understand in this article, developmental psychology. Key terms are: maturation in psychology refers to the natural developmental process driven by genetics, leading to physical, behavioral, and psychological growth independent of learning or experience. The idiographic approach focuses on understanding unique individual differences in experiences or behaviors, often using qualitative methods. Normative development in psychology refers to the typical sequence and timing of developmental milestones that most people experience within a population. Goals: the three goals of developmental psychology are to describe, explain, and optimize development. To describe development, it is necessary to focus both on typical patterns of change, normative development, and individual variations in patterns of change, that is idiographic development. Although there are typical pathways of development that most people follow, no two persons are exactly alike. Developmental psychologists must also seek to explain the changes they have observed about normative processes and individual differences. Although it is often easier to describe development than to explain how it occurs. Finally, developmental psychologists hope to optimize development and apply their theories to help people in practical situations, that is, help parents develop secure attachments with their children. Continuity versus discontinuity in human development. Think about how children become adults. Is there a predictable pattern they follow regarding thought and language and social development? Do children go through gradual changes or are they abrupt changes? Normative development is typically viewed as a continual and cumulative process. The continuity view says that development is a smooth and gradual accumulation of abilities, with one stage flowing seamlessly into the next. Children become more skillful in thinking, talking, and acting much the way as they get taller. It assumes that changes are incremental, with skills and knowledge building upon what was previously learned. The analogy often used to describe this perspective is viewing development as a slope or ramp, gradually inclining upwards. The discontinuity view sees development as a more abrupt succession of changes that produce different behaviors in different age-specific periods called stages. Behavioral changes provide the potential for these changes. These stages are believed to be qualitatively different, each bringing a dramatic shift in abilities or behaviors. Theorists like Ja Piaget and Erik Erikson support this perspective. One thing I'd like to remind you here that I have made already some videos on Erik Erikson as a psychologist and child development psychologist. They argue that children pass through distinct stages at certain ages, and the qualities of each stage are significantly different from those of other stages. This can be visualized as steps on a staircase. We often hear people talking about children going through stages in life, that is, sensory motor stage. These are called developmental stages, periods of life initiated by distinct transitions in physical or psychological functioning. Psychologists of the discontinuity view believe that people go through the same stages in the same order but not necessarily at the same rate. Stability versus change in human development. Stability implies personality traits present during infancy endure throughout the lifespan. It emphasizes the importance of early experiences on future development, suggesting that early childhood experiences play a significant role in determining adult personality traits and behaviors. For example, a child who is cheerful and outgoing will likely grow into an adult with similar personality traits. Stability theorists believe that change is relatively difficult once initial personality traits have been established. In contrast, change theorists argue that family interactions, school experiences, and acculturation modify personalities. It implies that our behaviors, thoughts, and emotions are malleable and can be influenced by experiences and environments over time. This perspective suggests that it is equally likely for an introverted child to become an extroverted adult, depending on various factors like life experiences, education, or trauma. This capacity for change is called plasticity. So what is plasticity? Plasticity is the change for is the capability for change. For example, Reuter in 1981 discovered that some babies living in understaffed orphanages often become cheerful and affectionate when placed in socially stimulating adoptive homes. Now, nature versus nurture. When trying to explain development, it is important to consider the relative contribution of both nature and nurture. Developmental psychology seeks to answer two big questions about heredity and environment. Question one: how much weight does is contribute? Question two: how do nature and nurture interact? Nature refers to the process of biological maturation, inheritance, and maturation. One of the reasons why the development of human beings is so similar is because our common species heredity DNA guides all of us through many of the same developmental changes at about the same point in our lives. Nurture refers to the impact of the environment, which involves the process of learning through experiences. There are two effective ways to study nature nurture. Study number one: twin studies. Identical twins have the same genotype, and fraternal twins have an average of 50% of their genes in common. Two, adoption studies. Similarities with the biological family support nature, while similarities with the adoptive family support nurture. Historical origins. Developmental psychology as a discipline could not exist until after the Industrial Revolution, when the need for An educated workforce led to the social construction of childhood as a distinct stage in a person's life. The motion of childhood originates in the Western world, and this is why the early research derives from this location. Initially, developmental psychologists were interested in studying the mind of the child so that education and learning could be more effective. Developmental changes during adulthood are an even more recent area of study. This is mainly due to advances in medical science enabling people to live to old age. Charles Darwin, a well known naturalist, is credited with conducting the first systematic study of developmental psychology. In 1877, he published a short paper detailing the development of innate forms of communication based scientific observations of his infant son, Doddy. However, the emergence of developmental psychology as a specific discipline can be traced back to 1882 when Wilhelm Preyer, a German physiologist, published a book entitled The Mind of the Child. In the book, Freire describes the development of his own daughter from birth to 2.5 years. Importantly, Freire used rigorous scientific procedures throughout studying the many abilities of his daughter. In 1888, Freire's publication was translated into English. By his time, developmental psychology as a discipline was fully established with a further 47 empirical studies from Europe, North America, and Britain also published to facilitate the dissemination of knowledge in the field. During the 1900s, three key figures have dominated the field with their extensive theories of human development, namely Ja Piaget from 1896 to 1980, Lee Lev Vygotsky from 1896 to 1934, and John Bowlby from 1907 to 1990. Indeed, much of the current research continues to be influenced by these three theorists. So, and this is simply all about what is developmental psychology. I think it's a new topic to you, and I have I want to guess that you have enjoyed listening to the new topic that psychology is psychology, but this is another subdiscipline. This is called developmental psychology. Thank you for your patient hearing. Bye bye. Keep healthy, keep fit, exercise regularly, sleep regularly. Okay, thank you.